Without love, it cannot be seen. That is right, Ange. I've heard this line so many times and I still can't quite put it together, but I've got some ideas. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry, Episode 6. We are currently analyzing the two Beatrices. They're talking about something or other. I think they're talking about something that was kind of off of Kanun and Jessica. So that trailed off into the Beatrices talking, and that trailed off into Ange and Featherine talking.
それは理解できてるの。これを手品だと断じるもよし、魔法だと信じるもよし、そのものの毒素次第であろうな。でもこれは、かつての魔法の一部を説明はできるけど、すべてを説明することはできないわ。
I think where we are at specifically, now that it's slowly but surely coming back to me, is that why is magic needed if the love is mutual?
話を戻すけれど、この程度の魔法やおまじないを信じるという程度の話では、堅くなに恋ができないと嘆いていた家具たちに、それを許すことのできる黄金蝶のブローチとは一体何かという問いに答えられない。そこにいる二人のベアとの話を鵜呑みにするなら、魔法には彼らの諦めを取り除く力があると考えるのが妥当であろう。どうして家具は恋をしてはいけないの？どうして魔法のブローチの力が必要なの？確かにあんたやベアトたちの話は一見、それにおぼろげとはいえ答えを与えているような気がする。でも朗読者だから言わせて、それでは納得がいかないの。納得とは、家具たちはもっともっと悲壮な宿命に抗おうとしているわ。恋愛成就のお守りを託されたくらいで自己改革ができる程度のものだったとは思えないの？
I believe the same, actually. It's kind of ridiculous. I think Shannon is maybe one that could be a little bit more easily persuaded. She needed some sort of push, and that was fine. But like I've said multiple times now, I'm pretty sure George, you know, he came around to Shannon because he was able to overcome his own obstacles that he had. With Kanun, it's a little different.
現にシャノンはかつてジョージお兄ちゃんとの出会いのきっかけを作ったのはブローチのおかげだけど、それ以降は魔法の力を借りずに関係を深めたいと言ってベアトにブローチを返そうとさえしたわ。彼女はその時点で一度は魔法の奇跡と決別したはずなのに、なぜ再びその力を必要としているの？さて、恋と結婚は別物としか言いようがないであろうな。
That is actually a good point. I have actually been kind of putting the two together. Featherine laughed lightly. She had probably formed a theory of her own and was laughing at Ange, who hadn't reached it yet.
聞かせてよ、あんたの見解。もう少し寝かせたい。それに疑問を持ち思考を巡らすそなたを見ることもまた朗読の楽しみだ。私の見解を話せばそなたはそれに納得し思考を止める。それでは朗読が面白くない。すでに答えを知ってる推理小説を読ませて右往左往するところを見て楽しんでるってわけね。それが感激の魔女というものだ。悪趣味と笑いたくば笑うがよい。我が巫女よ。わははは。
In a way, I feel so bad for Ange. But in another way, I completely respect everything about her. I understand that part of magic is created by a believing heart, and that magic probably permeates deep into the world of us humans as well. However, though it permeates so far, the power that dwells within magic is small. Lots of people visit shrines to pay for success on tests. However, people rarely credit such a visit as the reason for their success. By itself, praying does little more than give one peace of mind. In love, where even a small chance and a little bit of courage can result in major changes, this power can sometimes bring about incredible transformations. However, would something like that really be enough to change the insurmountable fate of furniture? In the past, when Shannon and George were brought together, I imagine that the brooch's magical power functioned as little more than a ritualistic charm. However, by now, the magical power that the furniture seeked from the brooch, it's not something as vague as a ritual. It feels much stronger, like a whole different interpretation of magic. If you believe in a sleight of hand, it becomes magic. But that's no more than a child's trick. And that only explains one part of magic. They are hoping for something. They're hoping for something with much, much more power, for true magic, not a sleight of hand. A miracle, one may say.
ハグたちは黄金蝶のブローチにどんな魔法を期待しているというの？
A miracle. They're expecting something a little bit more than just something hard to believe, something that just surprises them. They are hoping for their expectations to be met, or for their expectations to be exceeded. The impossible to happen, or what they believe is the impossible.
黄金蝶のブローチ？
黄金の魔女ベアトリーチが霊境を割るのと引き換えにこれがそれです。
Why are you explaining that to her? That's how you push a woman away from you. From his pocket, Kanun pulled a single wing from a gold butterfly. Though it was a single wing, it was easy to tell from its shape that it had originally been a part of something with a butterfly motif.
このブローチの魔法はシャノンにジョージ様と恋仲になる機会を与えました。しかしそれを最後まで成就する前に僕に譲りました。だから僕はこのブローチの力でお嬢様の好意を得ました。
そんなわけないよ。私がカノン君を好きになったのは自分の素直な気持ちだぜ。
ありがとうございます。お嬢様は人間だから魔女も魔法も信じない。無理もないことです。しかし魔法で生み出された家具の魔法の奇跡の存在する証拠なのです。
ごめん。何の話？
Yeah, for real, dog. This is how you push women away. Jessica tried to make sense of Kanun's words. However, she couldn't understand and had to ask him to repeat it wearing a stiff smile.
僕もシャノンも恋を成就させるには魔法が必要なのです。そのための鍵がこのブローチ。僕が踏んで割ったので僕たちは一つずつ持ち合っています。
The brooch had lost its power when it was split in half. However, if it was ever joined together again, its magic would be revived. It would revive the miraculous power that could join furniture and a human together.
しかし一つのブローチは一人の願いしか叶えない。家具の僕たちはこの一つのブローチによってどちらかしか結ばれ得ないのです。
That was the final seed of love, a spark of love which the old, shrilly laughing Beatrice had sown. The old Beatrice had said that humans tormented by this spark were like ripe fruit, which she crudely used for her own enjoyment. However, the magic infused within this seed was real. It was the only crystallization of magic that the Golden Witch Beatrice ever left in this world. Its glint increased. Oh boy, it's magic time.
大丈夫です。でも直接は見ないで目をやられます。
The glint grew even stronger, shining like the sun. Even without Kanun's warning, Jessica wouldn't have been able to stop herself from covering her eyes with her hands. So what is happening here? As the light grew stronger, a sound like the roar of the wind or the tide also grew in intensity. The sound of the wind and rain outside had already been overwhelmed. Jessica could no longer even stand and she crouched on the floor. A flood of sound and light. Until it withdrew, Jessica could do nothing but moan. I wonder how all of this could be interpreted, you know? Oh, well, whatever. God damn it, bro. That actually sucks, because if I had just recorded a little bit more in the last video, again, we would have had another chapter just like that taken care of. Oh well. Me and my attempts at being, you know, perfect or whatever. Now we're outside the game
さあ
board.
さあ今は大丈夫ですよ。
お父様が甘いものをお好きだといいのですが。
ええ、お好きですもの。甘いものに限らず、何でもよくお召し上がりになりますよ。
After waiting for the master of the room to be out, Beato and Kumasawa entered the study. Then they quickly cleaned up the books on the desk, set down the basket they had brought there, and opened it up. Inside were several cute cookies, cut out in a butterfly shape. Of course, it's butterfly shaped. They set out a pretty plate and neatly arranged the cookies on it. It was the kind of subtle, conscientious touch that the recipient wasn't likely to even notice. The whole arrangement was filled with that sort of feeling.
愛しのお父様とやらのために精が出るな。今の私に許されていることはこんなことくらいですので。わらわがバトラにクッキーをか。なぜに夜の支配者であるわらわが稀な客人であるバトラにそこまで尽くすのか。
And then the study doors swung violently open. It was Battler, with Genji by his side. Battler's eyes went wide for a second when he saw Beato there, but his expression quickly went blank again.
ここで何をしている？
お父様、失礼しました。決して大切なゲームの邪魔に来たわけでは。
どうしてここに入れた？ここには鍵がかかっていたはず。
申し訳ございません。親方様に内密で差し入れをお届けしたいとのことで。
ほら、見てあげてくださいませ。親方様に喜んでもらおうと、ベアトリーチェ様が一生懸命クッキーを焼いたんですよ。
Oh, I can already guarantee that he's not going to be actually a fan of these. Now me, however, I'd be down for it, but Battler will not because this is made by the Beatrice that, well, this would show that the Beatrice before him really is not the Beatrice he wants.
熊沢さんと源氏さんに習いました。源氏さんがクッキーを焼くのがお上手だったなんて。
最近は全然ですけど、昔の源氏さんはそれはもういろいろなお料理を作ってくれたんですよ。特にお菓子作りはお上手で。
クッキー？
はい、お父様への差し入れです。大切なゲームの必勝を心よりお祈りいたしております。
Battler looked at the plate on the study desk that was piled up with beautiful cookies and the message card of encouragement lying next to it, and his face twisted with a complex expression, which might have been one of sadness and might have been one of hatred.
親方様。
Genji urged him to consider saying some words of gratitude to Beato. Battler understood. Anyone would be pleased to receive an act of kindness like this. Even though he understood it logically, he couldn't help but give a small exasperated sigh.
ありがとう。感謝する。だが甘いものは苦手だ。下げてくれ。
Wait, weren't they just saying that you do?
親方様。
同じことをもう一度言わせるな。片付けて下がってくれ。
親方様、せめて一口お口に運ばれるわけには参りませんか。ベアトリーチェ様が親方様のためを思い、
気持ちはありがたく受け取っておく。今は大切なゲームの最中だ。俺にとってもベアトにとっても大切な最後のゲームなんだ。だから頼む。俺の心をかき乱すような真似は慎んでくれ。
それはあまりにもひどうございます。気持ちは感謝する。大いに結構でございます。しかしそれをせめて一口お召し。
お父様。
Beato looked at Battler sadly. Battler hung his head to avoid her gaze. The expression on his face caused Beato more pain than any he had shown her before.
熊沢、それを片付け、下がるように。
親方様。
Kumasawa clung to Battler, but he turned his back to her.
失礼しました。片付けましょう、熊沢さん。
そういうわけには参りません。 大切なゲームに少しでも力添えしたいベアトリーチェ様が、せめてこのような形でもお力になりたいと
I wonder
頑張られた差し入れでございます。
if this is technically Virgilia talking here.
それを一口さえせずに下げろとは、女をバカにするにも程がございます。
熊沢、
親方様も男ならば、女の手作りの差し入れにせめてどうか一口で結構でございますので、女の気持ちを踏みにじろうというおつもりでしたら、殺されたってここは引きませんよ。ええ、引きません。
熊沢さん、もう結構ですから。
そういうわけには参りません。親方様、これに毒でも入っているとお思いですか？
I don't really think that would have, made any sort of difference. Yeah, if Beato ever came to give me cookies, of course I'd figured that she'd put some kind of crazy poison in them. And she's asking if I think there's poison in these? Who would expect that cookies piled up in such a neat and cute way could possibly have something bizarre hidden inside them? And anyway, who could possibly imagine Beato making something like this? Because of that, Battler couldn't bear to look at Beato's innocent reaction, which was completely free of any malicious thoughts, like slipping poison into cookies. Beato quietly started to clean up. Every now and then she sniffled. Kumasawa continued to glare at Battler, but she then gave a small sigh and helped Beato clean up. However, the hardness didn't disappear from her expression.
失礼しました。お父様、それでは失礼いたします。
呼ぶな。俺をお父様と呼ぶな。ベアトは俺をそんな呼び方をしたことは。
はい。失礼いたしました。
Hanging her head so low that her chin touched her chest, Beato hurried out of the study. After giving Battler a look, Kumasawa chased after her. And what does Genji think? Kumasawa threw the door open a bit violently, and the footsteps of the pair rapidly disappeared off into the distance. So, what can we interpret from all this? I guess it's going to be analyzed regardless.
実の妹が言うのもなんだけど、複雑な気持ちだわ。
I will say Battler is acting more stern, more I don't know, like he's done messing around type of attitude, if that makes any sense. But again, how can that be interpreted?
相手がベアトでさえなければ、素直に女の敵と言えるのに、か？私はお兄ちゃんとベアトがどうして慣れ合ってるのかさっぱりわからない。今思ってベアトは倒すべき私たちの最大の敵だと思ってる。でもだからといってあのお兄ちゃんの対応は女として愉快じゃないわ。バトラの気持ちも少しはわかるがな。悲しいことだ。
I still don't understand what kind of antagonism or connection there was between them. However, Oni-chan probably viewed Beato as a friendly rival, if not something more, and there was something more. Again, Battler was able to piece things together. He understood what Beatrice was trying to convey through the games. He understood everything. Me, however, I don't understand anything. But looking back on whenever she brought up Battler's sin and everything and how that affected Beatrice, basically, pushing that huge-ass hint towards Battler, because that is a huge, major hint in everything. It's kind of like she opened up to him. And then he didn't know. And that kind of broke Beatrice's spirit with everything here. And then it spiraled into the Beatrice that we knew in Chapter 5, or Episode 5, and then we lost her. So, through everything, we know that there was no direct connection prior to all of this between the two. There couldn't have been. But what actually happened? What allows them to be closer than ever now? Oni-chan's reason for defeating Beato isn't to destroy an enemy out of hatred. It feels like he wants to give a sincere answer to her questions. Yeah, I can't deny the fact that their fight isn't based on hatred, but a stronger emotion.
さらに言えば、あそこまで冷たくされて、それでもなおお兄ちゃんに尽くそうとするベアトも、もう一人の姉のベアトと私も同意見よ。どうしてお兄ちゃんにあそこまで尽くすのか理解できないわ。そしてその理解できぬ要素は1000年を経て変化を遂げるとはいえ、紛れもなく我々の知る黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェに受け継がれるものである。ええ、理解しているわ。このベアトを知ることもまたやがてのベアトを知ることにつながる。そしてそれはこのおかしなゲームで最大の大駒と、あるいはこのゲーム版そのものを説明するかもしれない。謎多き魔女であるな。
Though she said those words, Featherine wore a confident smile on her face. Her sarcastic confidence as though she already knew the answer was unchanged.
ベアトリーチェ、話を聞きたいわ。はい。何でしょうか、エンジェさん。
When Ange asked her question, Beato, who had been reading a fragment book in the shadows of the library, jumped. I forgot that she was doing that.
あなたはなんで後ろ宮バトラをお父様と呼ぶの？私という駒を生み出してくださったからです。では、どうして後ろ宮バトラにそこまで尽くすの？駒は生み出した造物種に絶対服従しなくてはならないルールでもあるの？そんなルールはない。駒は道具、あるいはナイフだ。ゲームマスターが上手に扱えば便利な道具になる。しかし扱いを間違えれば自らを傷つけもする。道具になろうと凶器になろうと、そこに道具の意志はない。ただ結果があるだけだ。じゃあどうしてあんたはお兄ちゃんにああも尽くすの？まるでそれはあなたという駒の目的かのようだわ。はい、それが私が生み出された目的だからです。あんたを生み出したお兄ちゃん自身がその目的を与えたの？それは違う。バトラはゲームマスターとしてそういう役目を持った駒を盤上に置いたに過ぎない。そして彼女という駒を生み出したのはこのゲームを生み出した最初のゲームマスターであるベアトリーチェ自身だ。
Ah, okay.
ややこしい話だわ。
No, I understand it. There's a role there and needs to be filled.
つまりあんたはお兄ちゃんのことをお父様呼んでるけど、別に父親ってわけじゃないのね。
No, I don't think that's the case. And the thing is, in a previous video, I had predicted that in some sort of way, there is some sort of father, to Beatrice, the human Beatrice, but then grandfather ends up being Kinzo still, I think.
あんたはお兄ちゃんに尽くさなければならないという目的のために親しみを込めてお父様と呼んでるだけだわ。はい、そうだと思います。私という駒を盤上に置いてくださったのがお父様です。お父様が盤上に置かなければ私という駒の出番はありません。ですから私がここにこうして存在し、そして私の目的のために尽くせるのは全てお父様のおかげなのです。
It's like we're trying to complete a circle here or something, Or going back to the beginning in some sort of weird ass way.
そしてそれはお父様と呼ぶのにふさわしいってわけね。じゃあ誰があんたにお兄ちゃんに尽くすように命じたの？ああ、それは初代ゲームマスターのベアト自身よね。ややこしい。なぜにそなたは後ろ宮バトラに尽くさねばならぬのか。しかしそれを彼女に答えることはできぬ。彼女に与えられたのは目的だけだ。その目的を与えた動機は与えた本人にしかわからぬのだから。なるほど、それも考えてみるがいい人の子よってわ。で、 ついでにあんたにはもうその察しがついていて、ニヤニヤしながら私が悩んでいるのを見ているってわけだわ。
そなたは我が巫女としてつくづく優秀だ。
私はお父様に尽くします。私の存在がお父様の幸福のお役に立てる。
Yeah, I wonder about that, because so far it's just been bringing him a lot of confusion and sadness.
それが私の一番の喜びです。そして
At that point, Beato hesitated.
何？そして何を？
はい、そしてそれをいつかお父様にお認めいただければ、それが私の一番の幸せなのです。
Why does she really want that?
何よそれ。尽くしたいってだけならまさに魔女の家具ねと言いたいところだけど、それを認めてもらいたい？それじゃ家具ってより。
And stopped mid-sentence. That's less like furniture and more like, you're just a girl who loves Oni-chan. I don't get it. The driving force behind this Beato is that of a girl who adores Oni-chan. But then, what does that make her? If the first Beato liked Oni-chan, then she should have adored him and devoted herself to him directly. Why would she create a piece of herself, a separate entity, to do it? And as it stands, even if she does attract Oni-chan's attention, it will be towards the piece version of herself, not the creator who made the piece. Well, if I ever like someone, I'll probably want to do things for them. But of course, I'd want to do those things myself. After all, I would want him to notice me. It's a love that will always go unrewarded, no matter how devoted she is. And she is doing this out of her own free will. Beato's actions look no different from those of an average girl in love. She's devotedly doing all she can for him, dreaming that her kindness will eventually be acknowledged. Why would Beato create a piece like this? Maybe putting it in romantic terms is a bit too confusing. Let's try using food as an example. Why? This would be as pointless as creating a piece to eat food for you. No matter how much food your piece eats on your behalf, you won't get any less hungry, right? You're the one who wants to eat. There's no reason to have a piece do that in your place. For most jobs in this world, you can get someone else to do it for you. However, with love and food alone, there can never be any point to letting another person do it in your place. That's right. This Beato was created as a piece because of an impossible reason. Though, at a glance, she looks just like a normal girl. The more I know about her, the less I understand. Like she's an imaginary number.
お父様はそう呼ばれるのを嫌われていました。
Because, well, you even said it yourself here, you're not actually his daughter, he's not actually your father.
そしてお父様の望まれる私もそうは呼んでいませんでした。
そうね。かつてのあんたは誰が相手でも呼び捨てにしてたわ。
だからといってお父様を呼び捨てにはできません。せめてバトラさんと呼ぶように努力はしたいと思います。
あんなに冷たくされてよくめげないものね。
いえ、バトラさんは今大切なゲームに臨まれています。相手は大ベルンカステル教の駒、強敵エリカ教です。いよいよゲームが佳境に差し掛かろうというデリケートなところに私がしゃしゃり出て、バトラさんが望まないお父様という言葉をかけてしまったのですから。
Are we really, truly, about to reach a critical point? I can't tell.
機嫌を崩されても無理ないことです。
Apparently, Beato still wanted to devote herself to Battler, even after being treated in such a cold manner. Though to an outsider, it might just look as though she's being snubbed. It doesn't faze her at all. It truly is the blindness of a girl in love.
それとも私に愛がないから見えない。
愛があれば
見えぬものが見えることもあろうな。
True that. Goddamn, I feel like I'm more blinded when I'm in love, but that is a valid point, actually. I think because we're not truly understanding the relationship that, she is after here, the devotion that she has for him and everything, we might be missing something. Beato once again immersed herself in the fragment book that the former Beato had written. She was trying to find something about the Beato that Battler desired, and shrugged as though saying, well, I don't get it. Oh, you and me too, sister. Or you and me both. Featherrind laughed when she saw this, hinting that an innocent young woman could never understand. Ange grumbled something back unhappily. Their exchange seemed to have had no effect whatsoever on Beato as she sat in the shadows of the library. Let's get back to, the game board here. I wanna see what's going on, but I guess we're not there yet. After chasing all the others out, only Battler remained in the study. There was no color in this dimly lit room. However, for just the short time that the plate of cookies had been placed there, the room had seemed at least a little cheery. Battler's gaze drifted over to the table, which no longer had anything on it. When he did, the cookie plate that had been there until a second ago was revived. However, it was an illusion. Though the cookies could be looked at, they could not be touched, much less eaten. If Battler wished, he could make it possible to touch them or eat them, but it would be an empty sensation. It would only give the touch and taste that Battler desired. He no longer had any way of knowing what kind of cookies they had been. Oh yeah, it's his world. He's the game master. On the reception sofa across from Battler, a cloud of gold butterflies slowly gathered and took the form of the old Beato.
ほーら食べろよ。わらわが珍しく手作りしたのだぞ。
Been a while since we've heard of a Beatrice talk like this.
安心せよ。自信作であるぞ。
お嬢様の場合、むしろ自信作の方が不安になろうというものですな。
まったくだぜ。お前が作るクッキーなんて、どうせおかしな毒が入ってるに決まってら。
それは心外な。仮に入っていたとしても、そなたのあれがそうなってこうなっちゃうかもしれない程度のもんではないか。
そういうことばかり普段からしているから、バトラ君に食べてもらえないのです。
手料理に何か入れるなんて基本でしょ。爪に髪の毛、魔法のおまじないに愛のかけら。あんたたちだったら何を入れるの？
何も入れません。美味しく自分でいただいちゃいます。
だと思ったわ。あんたは出落ちなのよ、まったく。
And Battler is really losing it here if he has to, recreate everybody here.
って言うし、胃袋は最初の第一歩よね。次がお財布の袋で、三つ目は何かしら。男を振り向かせるなら、身も心も魂さえも全てを私のために捧げさせたい。だからこそ私は手料理に全ての力と愛情を注ぎ込める
の。いずれにせよ手料理を食べさせるのは古今不変の成功法と言えるだろうな。
バカバカしい。そんな小細工をしないと男心一つつかめないなんて情けないったらありゃしないわ。へえ、お姉様が男心をどの程度おつかみになった経験がおありか。
バトラー、何もおかしなもんは入ってないから食ってくれよ。わらわがそなたのためにクッキーを手作りするなんて二度とねえからさ。
There probably won't be another chance. I slowly stretched my hand out to the illusion of the cookie plate and touched it. And it all vanishes. Just before I did, it became a cloud of gold butterflies and vanished into the darkness of the study. The illusions of Renove and Vergilia also disappeared. However, the illusion of Beato alone still remained on the sofa.
何が不満か？
それも俺に言わせるつもりか。
Is this like a form of him talking to himself?
新しきわらわがそなたの望んだ姿とあまりに違えば違うほどわらわが二度とよみがえらぬ存在であることを思い知らされるからであろう。いい女は逃したら二度と捕まらぬわ。今頃になってわらわがいい女だったと気づいたであろうが。
うるせえ。お前なんか二度と現れなくてせいせいすら。
Beato lay sprawled on the sofa and looked up at the ceiling. Battler also turned his back and moved to the window. For a while there was
分
silence.
かっていると思うが。
分かってな。
そなたの期待するわらわはすでに消え
分かってる。あのベアとは紛れもないお前自身ではあってもかつてのお前とは異なる存在でお前はもう絶対に蘇らない。
た。わらわの魂とこの女らしさ、性格の良さ、気風の良さは魔女としての1000年によって培われたものだ。それは全く同じ1000年を経ぬ限りわらわと同じにはなり得ぬ。すなわちそなたがわらわを生み出そうと目論む時点ですでに生い立ちが異なるのだ。
ああ、お前が絶対に蘇らないなんて。
だが期待しているのであろう。
Oh, a lot of people tend to hope for the unobtainable.
新しきわらわがある豆腐の角にでもコツンと頭をぶつけ過去の記憶を取り戻して見事復活みたいなのを期待しているのであろう。そんな妄想プロット今時ラノベだって通用せぬわ。
うるせえ。
Hey, she wouldn't actually know what a light novel
お
is.
前だってかつて俺が思い出して気づくのをずっと待ってやがったじゃねえかよ。
Then what is it? Does this mean that our relationship is exactly the opposite of how it once was? Well, kinda.
わらわもそなたがいつかはきっと気づく。
I mean, the purpose has definitely shifted and he knows
奇
it.
跡が起こる。そう信じてゲームを繰り返したこともあったがな。
どういう気持ちだったんだよ、お前が俺とゲームをしている時は。
自分の胸に聞けとはよく言ったものよ。
This is technically him looking into his own heart here, or throwing it out on paper at least. It hurts. If only she didn't look so much like you, I would have kept my cool a little better.
まあ好きにせよ。かつてわらわはそなたを苛みもてあそんだ。今度はそなたがそれをわらわに復讐する番だ。新しきわらわは何もわからずおろおろとするのみ。見るも焼くもそなた次第よ。積年の恨みも晴れるであろうが。
お前自身が相手ならな、さぞや気分も爽快だろうぜ。だがあのベアとはお前じゃない。
わらわでないというなら誰なのか。
お前によく似た別人だ。
だが紛れもなくわらわでもあるぞ。
そうだな、お前自身であり、そして同時に別人なんだ。
ならば新しきわらわも災難なものよ。わらわの身代わりに慰み者とされておるわ。 なんと気の毒なことか。
That might be the contradiction inside me. The new Beato seems like a different person, so I can't accept her. Even though I know she's a different person, she keeps reminding me of Beato's face. And yet here we are talking to a fake, a complete falsified version. Basically, the memories portrayed as an individual here of Beato.
あれはわらわの娘とでも思え。
娘？
わらわの血を引きし、うり二つの娘と解釈せよ。何しろわらわの分身であり、しかし1000年の経験を経ぬのだから、そう呼んでもおかしくはあるまい。
確かに。
わらわは死して娘を残し、そなたに託したと。さすればそなたも、あやつをどう受け止めればいいか。
らしくもなく、うまい例えをしやがって。
Again, Battler, this is all like you, dog. This is literally all you.
あやつは我が娘だ。
Kind of, actually, because, like, he's just projecting, not necessarily, like, what his, like, thoughts and memories and whatever is in his heart and mind, you know, just out there into, like, an individual made of magic or whatever. Like, he's just using the abilities that he has to create an individual real quick to have a conversation with. But his desires and everything still kind of, like, dictate that. To my understanding, at least.
わらわの面影を押し付けるも自由。恨みつらみをわらわの代わりにぶつけて、慰み者としてもよい。わらわの罪を背負わせ、好きに苛めば、そなたの鬱憤も晴れようぞ。それが趣味でないというなら、わらわのように人の道を踏み外さぬよう、正しく導くのもまた一興だ。あやつは、そなたに尽くすように、生まれながらできておる。そなたが望めば、どのような姿にだって変えられる。1000年の奇跡を経たならば、わらはそのものにさえ、なれるかもしれない。
かつてお前にされたように、ひんむいて、
That did
鎖
happen.
で引っ張り回すことさえ自由だな。
That was crazy shit, man.
そうだな。今ならばそれ以上の非道なる所業さえ。
お前の分身であり、そして娘か。
Yeah, she is exactly the same person, the same piece, which was created once more by the rule called Beatrice. However, when I'm unable to accept it that way, I can think of her as Beato's daughter, finding a clear guidepost for how to interact with her and smooth the uncertainty in my heart. Finally, I understand how cruel I was to her then. My tears poured to the ground, and when I followed them with my eyes, I noticed that a white business card had fallen onto the floor. That's no business card. It was the message card that had adorned those cookies. I rushed her, telling her to clean up and leave right away, which was probably why it had fallen to the floor unnoticed. I picked it up and read the message on it. It was extremely short, pure, and sincere. It's so clear that I should be able to read it. However, it's blurred with tears and I can't see anything. I mean, that's an easy fix, you know, but we get the idea here. So maybe this will help, maybe this awkwardness, maybe bridge the gap between the two a little bit better. Maybe, hopefully. One would hope. And I guess that's what we get to look forward to in the next video. I'm out of time, but that's all good. We're making good progress, or at least I feel like we are. We're just zooming along here in episode 6. I don't really know what to really take from a lot of things, but nevertheless, I'm having a good time, and I hope you guys are as well. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.